Yes, my wonderful people. INEC Yash don't they check for election tribunal. Peter Obi legal team have listed INEC violation and guidelines where they no follow for the conduct of this election. Una know say I promise una say I go to update everything where they happen for this Peter Obi matter. But I would like you guys to go on and watch this video and see the list of the violation where the INEC get for this election. Make sure say you share this video. Make other people see them. Share this video and let us carry everybody along as you share this video. Watch as they list the violation and share this video.
It will be in an event in Enugu where awards were presented to many people from around the country. In this video, we'll make a step-by-step analysis of how INEC violated their own guidelines and electoral law during the presidential election. It's no longer news that INEC failed to upload presidential election results at the polling units on election day. And if you remember, some politicians tried to play this down by saying that INEC reserves the right to conduct the election in any way that it deems fit, that it is completely at their discretion. They say this because Section 50, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act 2022 says, subject to Section 63 of this Act, voting at the election and transmission of results under this Act shall be in accordance with the procedure determined by the Commission. We will come back to this section in a moment. Some politicians, in defending the heist that happened, went as far as saying that there is nowhere in the Electoral Act that electronic transmission of results is mandatory. That's not right at all. There are many instances in the Electoral Act where it refers to transmission of results, like Section 50 already mentioned and Section 64 subsection 6D. It says the votes and results of the election recorded and transmitted directly from each polling unit where the election is disputed as prescribed under Section 60 subsection 4 of this Act. This section deals with how to resolve collation disputes. There are many of such instances, but because of time, we will get back to this reference transmitted directly from each polling unit. It is very, very significant. Apart from the Electoral Act, there is also the INEC guidelines for the conduct of the election. This one is one of the guidelines that INEC released before the election. It says the Commission will also upload polling unit level results, in bracket from EC8A, and the accreditation data to the INEC result viewing portal. This is also a mandatory provision of Section 50, 60, and 64 of the Electoral Act 2022. This is what accreditation data looks like. This was released by INEC to the Labour Party Guber candidate in Enugu for his challenge of the election at the Enugu Governorship Election Tribunal. You can see where it says certified true copy. More analysis on this in a moment. INEC used these guidelines to train the ad hoc staff that it employed for the conduct of the election. So going by the Electoral Act and INEC guidelines, it was a catastrophic failure on the part of INEC. Polling agents didn't upload the results to the INEC servers, which is accessed by everyone else through the IREV. This caused the election to fail immediately voting ended. The next step after the polling unit is the ward collation. No voting happens here. They just calculate all the results from polling units under the ward. And again, according to the law, at the ward collation level, the collation officer is supposed to refer to the uploaded copy of the result to authenticate the results being presented to him by polling officers. That's what the law says. Because the copy didn't exist, no polling officer could connect to the INEC servers or upload presidential election results on election day. INEC even acknowledged it and made a press release on Sunday, 26th February. They called it technical hitches, that they haven't transitioned the IREV from off-season election mode to nationwide general election mode. After Nigeria spent 300 billion naira for the conduct of the election, INEC wasn't ready upon all the assurances that they gave before the election. Something as simple as scaling the server to accept more connections at a time. You think it's shameful? Wait till you hear INEC's response to the Labour Party's petition, where they claim that everything was perfect on election day, that all polling unit results were uploaded. There's no time for this. Would have explained further, but in order not to make this video too long, maybe in another video. Before we see the next step, let's go back to Section 50, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act 2022, where it talks about transmission of the results being at the procedure determined by INEC. Take note of the word procedure. It doesn't mean that INEC can jettison transmission of results completely. It just means that they exercise discretion on the procedure of transmitting the result. The framers wrote it this way so as not to tie hands of INEC to a particular equipment that might change in the future. In other words, this section is flexible on how to go about it, but the transmission is still mandatory, which INEC themselves acknowledged in their guidelines. So INEC cannot run away from this. They cannot change the rule after the fact. This is in response to some of their laughable objections to the Labour Party petition, but there's no time to present all this here. Getting back to the Electoral Act saying the results must be transmitted at the polling unit immediately after vote counting. This is the main issue. If the results were not uploaded at the polling unit, it becomes invalid. That's what immediately and at the polling unit means. Yes, it becomes invalid if the upload was not done at the polling unit. The framers of the law know that if the upload is not done at the polling unit in front of all the party agents, police and everyone, it might give room for manipulation, which was exactly what happened. So it is mandatory that the result must be uploaded at the polling unit. This actually renders all the results that were uploaded after the 25th February 2023 invalid, except in some places where INEC extended the polls because of non-voting or late arrival of materials and other reasons that effectively pushed the election to the next day. So the polling units involved and the results produced after can be uploaded 24 hours after the election. This also includes places where supplementary elections took place. Uploads of the polling unit results should still conform with the law. Uploads must be the same day or immediately voting ended. Let's see an example of the kind of results you get when checks and balances that the law provides are not adhered to. Let's use this in Kano East local government area results as an example. This is a strategy that politicians use to rig elections. They always find a way to influence INEC officials to delay results in their home local government area or any particular local government where they think that they can use to manipulate results. This was done by the governor of Rivers State during the presidential election, where they waited for other local government areas to announce the results. This is to enable them to see the margin that they need to churn out in order to beat the opposition party. In this case, Wike manufactured 80,000 votes in his own local government area of Obiakpo. Ikpeazu with the PDP candidate tried the same thing in Abia State governorship election in Obingwa local government area. It was heavily resisted after INEC officials went to Abuja. It just couldn't stand. Imagine manufacturing more than 100,000 votes in one local government area. That would have been nearly more than the total votes he got from the rest of the states. So in Kano East local government area of Enugu State, the PDP candidate, in collusion with the INEC officials, delayed the votes in the local government area so that they will know the number of votes they need to beat the Labour Party candidates. That's why you see these kind of results where all the other parties scored 0. And only the PDP candidate got votes, and surprisingly, there weren't voided votes. And if you look at the polling unit results, the people who fill the forms all have the same writing pattern. They all drew lines on the empty spaces. No other political party agents signed the results, only the PDP agents. They thought they got everything covered, but they forgot one thing: the beavers that stores the accreditation data. Most of these results exceed the number of accredited voters. May the judges presiding over the Enugu State Election Petitions Tribunal be obedient to the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and not any human being. As you can see from what has been shown already, the same non-verification of results went from ward collation to local government collation to state collation and even the National Collation Center. No INEC officer followed their own guidelines or the Electoral Act, even the INEC chairman himself. It was laughable watching the Rivers State Collation Center where one returning officer had to go back 2 times to correct the many errors in the collated results. So how will the Labour Party be able to prove they won the flawed election in the face of all the violation and evidence? Because all things being equal, if no one is compromised, the APC legal team might at the end push for a rerun at the tribunal, since the evidence of non-compliance of the law by INEC is very overwhelming. There's still a way out. They need to prove the intentional blockage of uploads of presidential election results by INEC, that it was all part of their rigging plan, that it was not a technical problem like they claimed, so that the tribunal can overlook the outright breach of the law and rely on matching copies of the polling unit results. Effectively, all results that were uploaded outside the time frame and location are deemed invalid according to the law. So if the tribunal compares copies that they can prove are true copies of the polling unit results, which effectively does the same job of the copy stored on INEC servers. So the law was made to store the true copies, but if they didn't upload, you can still get true copies by comparing many matching copies. They will use this to determine who scored the highest lawful votes in the presidential election. Copies of EC8A forms stored on INEC servers cannot be relied on for evidence because they were not uploaded early. It depends on how the judges will see it anyway, because sorting out the results that were uploaded within the time frame allowed by the law will be very time consuming, and they might not be able to get useful number of polling unit results because the non-upload of results from polling units was widespread on election day. Still, many will argue that since many laws were violated by INEC, that it is better to cancel the election and conduct a fresh one. Again, this is an expensive route to take. It costs Nigeria more than 300 billion naira to conduct this election. There's no guarantee that all actors that contributed to the heist will not repeat the same in a new election. Because there was no consequence for them, they will still occupy official positions in INEC, police, and other government agencies. Even traditional rulers that led thugs to hijack ballot boxes still occupy their positions. They will repeat the same thing in a fresh election. The only way to remedy the situation is for the judges to look at the evidence, and if it is proved that the person parading himself as president-elect didn't win, the mandate should be returned to the rightful winner. This is the best way going forward. People who steal anything, including electoral votes, should not be rewarded with political office positions. If people can steal votes, imagine what they will do to money. People who rig elections should never benefit from the political offices they seek. Not for one term, 1 month, or even a day, because the person staying in office will still serve as a form of fulfillment and even motivation to rig another election in the future. In other words, it's like an encouragement. Just rig election, be declared winner, and before the rightful winner can win in court, if he ever wins, the election rigger will be in office, taking executive decisions, enjoying office perks, and in most cases, corruptly enriching himself. We are turning around in circles. Why not prevent election riggers from getting to office? That's why time is of the essence. They should do it quickly to prove to the world that Nigeria stands for justice, and justice will always prevail. Justice delayed is justice denied. Thanks for watching.